All right, by my watch, it is 6 o'clock, so at this time, we will call the March 28th meeting for the Macon County Board of Education to order. It's nice to be here. We've gone, 2 years where we had to stay in the same place, so it's nice to be able to get out and travel, see everybody show up, and then
get a meal out of it?
Get a meal out of it. There you go. It's just nice to get out of the boardroom every now and then. So it's been, the drive up here was pleasant, but I don't have to drive back as far as some people do I, Missy? So that's how you go.
Just use the district helicopter.
Yeah, go from there. So again, I'm glad everyone's here. Welcome. We'll try to move through the meeting as quick as can. I'm not going to jinx myself and say how long it's going to be, but we'll move forward. So at this time, if everyone please rise. At this time of our meeting, we always turn to our co-chair, Mr. Cave. I think the flag's back. Yeah, the flag here now. So the first, we want to, Tommy's going to lead us into a moment of silence. Tommy.
We've done this for a few years now, started for our veterans, and now include EMTs, police, any that wears a uniform, and a lot that don't, nurses, whatever. We're in terrible times, folks. We really are. And I know we're not allowed to say prayer at school or anything anymore, but a moment of silence and think about these people that aren't in these harm's way. I went to VA today, and I saw a lot of people I was in Vietnam with, and whatever. It was tough. So we'll bow our heads and think of these people. Amen. Thank you.
Tommy, if you would, please.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Everyone, please be seated. See if I can get these things back on. First item of business is approval of the meetings. Those are the meetings from our regularly scheduled meeting on February 28th. All the board members had a chance to review those. Are there any questions? Changes?
move we approve as presented.
Here now we have a motion that we approve as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. With the adoption of the agenda, I think there are a couple of amendments. Board members, does everyone have this? Renee? Yeah. So if you notice, we have add to our fundraisers, we have a fundraiser request for Macon Early College and for Franklin High School softball. That will, and I think Tim will have those. He'll put those up. Do you have those, Tim, when we get there? That's fine. We got it in here. We'll talk about it. It's fine. And then also for overnight information about a trip request, the FBLA, Future Business Leaders, have a request. I think every year they go to our National Leadership Conference. So that would be also part of what we've been voting on. Any other amendments, changes? Dr. Baldwin?
No, sir.
Standing? Yes. All right. At this time, with those additions, I would entertain a motion then that we adopt the agenda. Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, someone saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Very good. Spotlight on people and programs. I don't think we have any recognitions tonight, Dr. Baldwin.
No, sir.
But we do have a Mountain View Intermediate Stream Restoration Trail. That would be Jennifer,
Yes.
I would think. Hey, Jennifer, welcome.
Good evening. So I just wanted to give an update on the restoration project that we've been working on for several years at Mountain View Intermediate School. And just to go back in time, that March 31st, 2020 is when I presented about this project and asked the board's permission to pursue grant funding in order to raise the funds to complete this project at Mountain View Intermediate School. It's Cove Branch, which is a small stream that flows adjacent to Mountain View Intermediate and Macon Middle School. And 13 years ago, the outdoor classroom that we raised $28,000 to build was constructed there at Mountain View, and that the next part of this plan was to restore the stream and create a schoolyard environment for the students to go down, a nature trail, some signage, and some other restoration projects and access to the stream for doing stream studies and things like that that correlate with the 8th grade science curriculum. And when I say we, I primarily mean Doug Johnson with Macon County Soil and Water Conservation District as well as Jason Metter with Mainspring Conservation Trust. We were working right after that meeting to apply for a couple grants. One was called an Eeg Grant through the Department of Justice, and it's a mitigation grant where they're using mitigation funds from hog ponds in the eastern part of the state. And I did include some information there, but we were one of 22 grant recipients that year out of 134 grant applications. And so our Macon Soil and Water Conservation District grant there is listed for $92,513. And that pretty much made up the difference that we were lacking in order to complete the project. Doug also was able to secure funding for what's called a CCAP grant for $20,000. And I partnered with Jason Metter and Mainspring to get an additional $10,000 from Tennessee Valley Authority. So with those 3 additional grants that we received, we now have $209,892 to complete the restoration. We moved forward in November 21 with an engineer that Doug Johnson found, and that he works with the Soil and Water Conservation District, and they completed the survey work and have been working on those engineered plans during the COVID pandemic. And that was kind of what has delayed us, was waiting for those plans. And then just this past February, we had a no-rise permit that we had to complete. And basically what that means is that anything that was done down in the stream area would not affect anyone upstream. So if we had any kind of flooding event or anything like that, anything that we did in this stream restoration, they had to document and prove that it would not back up the water or affect anybody that would be upstream. So we did receive that no-rise survey and permit in February, and Doug went ahead and applied for our state permits in February. And so moving forward, once we get those state permits, we need to apply for our local and our county, our local town permit and our county permit. We discovered during the surveys that that piece of property is sliced at the very corner by a tiny little piece of town property, and then the rest of it is county property. So that's made it a little bit more interesting. And so we're hoping that those permits will be secured end of March, April is when we're working on those. And then the county will go through a bidding process because of the scope of the project. It will need to be bidded out, and we're estimating that that's going to happen in April or May. We're hoping to begin construction in July, so this coming July 2022, and it's estimated that the project will take approximately 2 weeks to complete if we have good weather, which means hopefully the actual restoration will be finished at the end of July. And then part of the grant funding that we raised was to make it look nice, so to create a path that goes along adjacent to the stream restoration. We would be blocking out the riparian buffer zone with a split rail fence that would go along the side of the stream that would prevent mowers, but also kids from getting down into the stream except for at certain access points. And then the signs. So part of the grant funding through the TVA helped us produce these signs that will be mounted in a metal frame, and they'll be put in concrete in the ground, so they'll be nice permanent signage there along the stream to make it an educational walkway. And what's exciting about these signs is that Sarah O'Neill during the pandemic worked with her art club that she did virtually, and the students did research on the different animals that we find in the Coke Ranch food web, and they drew their pictures, and the Bascom Gallery here in Highlands lent me their high resolution scanner to scan in their drawings. And then the background was created by Sarah O'Neill. So they had an integral part of creating these signs for the educational purposes there at the site. And then our grant reports are going to be due September, October of this fall. So it's a long time waiting for lots of fast and furious activity that's getting ready to start. The last part of this is that there is a banner that has been printed that has the website, the shadeyourstream.org website, which is a collaborative website between multiple stream organizations in Western North Carolina. And they are posting updates about our project on that website. So they're including our pre-stream data. So we had our middle school students and high school students come out and actually collect insects and look at the animals. And they had wildlife cameras and things like that where they were doing an assessment of the area before a restoration. And then we're hoping the students will be able to come out after the restoration and continue to document as that environment heals and see how it changes after the restoration. So that's kind of where we are with the project.
Very good.
Thank you.
Tim, are we live?
Streaming live. What?
Just had some folks text me, said they weren't able to log on.
We were.
Well, give me just a second.
Welcome to the top of the mountain.
Maybe going a little bit slow.
Fortunately, we've learned a lot of funding coming our way to improve broadband in Macon County.
Let's go.
Should we pause any longer, Tim? You think it?
Just go ahead, it will either catch up.
Okay, we'll go from there. Next on the agenda, of course, is our discussion concerning face covering, so I will turn that over to you, Dr. Baldwin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board members, I am happy to report that our COVID numbers have remained extremely low over the past month. We currently have one student who is positive and one staff member who is positive, and we have 0 quarantines. So we've had a month, the best month in 2 years in terms of COVID.
Excellent. Of course, what we have to do, board members, after hearing that, of course, we have to formally put a vote in terms of our decision concerning face coverings. Right now, of course, we're in mask optional, so we'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we remain in mask optional as like a few months.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of continuing, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Very good. That is good news in terms of that. Very, very good news. Next is our time for public comment. The board sets aside a time each meeting to listen to members of the community if they would like to address the board. So is there anyone here that would like to address the board at this time? If so, just stand up and introduce yourselves and we'll go from there.
My name's Cade White. I'm the student body president of the Union Academy. And we're inviting you all to Badger Bash. And be a good opportunity to show all our progress on PBLs.
Okay.
And you can bring your family, friends, and coworkers as well.
I sound ignorant. No, I think I've seen it. So the Badger Bash, the dates of that would be when?
April 25th.
April
25th.
25th. Good.
What is a Badger Bash? So that's my question.
That's a rodent.
No, I think I've read it. So go ahead. If you
Badger Bash is basically a day where we kind of showcase all the work that we've done throughout the year and just show our progress.
Do you know why they named it Badger Bash?
Our school mascot is the Badgers.
Okay, gotcha.
The Badger Bar.
No Badgers will be. I got it. I understand.
So that'd be the 25th. And it starts that morning. Is that right?
It is from 4 o'clock to 6
In the evening.
in the evening.
Okay.
And we also have, we have an international club, and they're going to be doing, both of them are in it, they're going to be doing like a little presentation of the thing that we're taking to WCU's language contest. So they'll be doing a performance in addition to showing their projects off.
Good deal. We will mark that on our calendars and do our best to attend. It's not like it's going to be a very nice, fun event.
Thank you so much.
Rachel named this.
I'm glad no-
Emily did. It's really cool.
I thought I'd missed something. When they said that, I was like, oh, Lord, I've forgotten.
And these kids have worked incredibly hard this year, and they've got some really, really incredible projects. And they would just love for y'all to come see all the work and how hard they work and all the good things they do. It's really incredible, some of the stuff they do. And our performance is going to be amazing. We're so excited.
We don't have a board meeting that night, do we?
We will have finger foods ahead of time for
Okay.
members if they would like
So
to
we
come
could
by.
meet, we could
Have a
swing
little
by
bite to
and
eat.
go to the.
We rush on to the
Right.
board meeting that night.
That's what I said. I think we have a board meeting, so we won't have much excuse. We may have to try to have, since the board members have to come there anyway, we'll tell them to come early, and then we'll swing by prior to the meeting. That would be a good way to lead into the meeting. Excellent. So we're looking forward to that.
Are you feeding us?
I will feed you something. I'll get
You know I was
a
gonna ask
meal
that.
if you need it.
It may not be what you just had.
We're looking forward to it. I think it'll be great. Thank you. You're to be commended, guys. Thank you for coming and making us aware of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Anything else? Anyone? Public comment? Seeing no takers, we will declare our public comment period at the end. Next, we move forward to informational items. All the board members see you've had a chance. These are our overnight out-of-district trip requests. Remember, we do have the one in your packet for the add-on for the FBLA travel to the National Leadership Conference in Chicago. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Bond, they do that, aren't they? They usually go there every year, do they
They do.
not? This is ongoing, maybe not last year.
Outside the pandemic,
Right,
yes.
right. Any questions by any of the board members concerning the overnight out-of-district trip requests?
Does the county usually pay for the $4,000 for that conference?
For the FBLA? They have fundraisers that they raise their own funds for
I was
that.
just looking at the cost of Macon County schools, $4,000.
I think it's an area, I'm not aware that we.
Yeah, that's not something that comes from the,
Okay.
that CTE pays for it.
We can pay for a portion of the student travel fees for the students who are competing. We can pay for a part of their registration and their hotel and but no meals. So FBLA will pay for those meals.
And that's not county funded, but CTE funded.
CTE fund, right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion to accept and approve the overnight out of district trip request. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Next is the fundraising request. There are several. Does any board member, I think we have some of the principals are here in case we had any questions. We've all had a chance to look it over. Are there any questions concerning the fundraising? Remember, we did have the two additions. One is for the early college. I think it was a meal thing at Fat Buddies, and then a car wash. This is to help finance their trip to Savannah. And then Franklin High School had their softball fundraiser, home run derby. They have that every year, I think. But I don't think I had it last year. So, any questions? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion that we approve the fundraising request as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Policy. Allison?
Sir?
Ms. Gwen, if you would, our South Macon handbook. Usually we just ask if there's any changes that you'd want to point out and that we're aware of. Otherwise, there's no reason to go into detail. No changes. Okay. Questions?
Move to accept as presented.
Entertain a motion. We have a motion that we accept as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second?
All in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Ms. Bell, Olive Valley, Franklin Covey, Leader in Me.
I'm sorry, this is we have had many new staff members this year, and this is for training in 7 habits of highly effective people for the beginning of the school year. Just renewed for staff members who have already been trained, but then also introduced for staff members who are new. We received a grant from the Rotary wing Rotary for $3,000. So that will cover one part of that.
Right. How long have y'all been doing this program, Diane?
This is 5 years.
So, okay. And you've been quite a few. I lose track. I almost called you Diane for some reason, Chuck. I'm not sure why I was doing that, but I'm not responsible for what I do these days.
Take that as a compliment.
It was. A good deal. Board members, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I had a couple of minor edits on this, just very formalistic things. So if you could just approve it with the understanding they have to review, see what we changed. There shouldn't be any problem though. And I will say, I've come to know that there are many of these schools, and they're really highly regarded. So I think this has been a great program, and everywhere it is, everybody seems to really appreciate it. My kids are going to go earlier in these schools. I'm excited.
Good deal. All right, so I'd entertain a motion to approve, subject to John's review of the contract and the other legalities that need to be addressed. Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Teacher Assistant to Teacher Program, Mr. Gibbs.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is a program that the General Assembly legislated, I believe it's 2016-17 fiscal year. And I just want to make the board aware of it. In my 2 years being HR, we've not really utilized this program, and I'd like to. I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of the program. And it also requirement is that the board approve the program. Basically what it is for any of our employed teacher assistants, we can select up to 5 teacher assistants per year and award $4,600 per academic year for a teacher assistant who is going to a approved educator preparation program in North Carolina. That teacher assistant would be eligible for that amount per academic year to work towards their teaching undergraduate degree.
Would they talk to you for that?
Yes,
Would you
ma'am.
be the person they contact?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Todd, do you want to go into some detail as to why we haven't participated in the last couple of years?
We've had teacher assistants utilizing online universities. I won't mention them, and you guys can look them up. And this program is not eligible for those online universities. The teacher assistant must be aligned with the EPP educator program, preparation program in North Carolina. So that's
There's a select few universities that provide that certification.
Yes, sir.
And to that point, Dr. Baldwin, I think this is the same program we worked out an MOU a couple of years ago with Western Carolina for, and I don't know whether we're still operating under it. I don't know whether the legislation says we still have to be under an MOU with whatever universities are going to proceed with.
I think that's been one of the issues in the past that's prevented our teacher assistants from taking advantage of this particular scholarship.
Yeah, I know we kind of tried to negotiate the MOU kind of as a form for everybody all at once, and it took forever to get it implemented. So I hope we can, hopefully that'll be, those kids are kind of greased for the process this time. But let me know if I need to be involved in that. I'm more than happy to help.
The paperwork that I'm looking at from the state, I don't even know that there's a mention of the MOU in this paperwork.
Okay.
So, anyway, I just want to make the board aware that this program is out there, it is available, and this is a way to get the word out to teachers, and I'll make sure that I send an email to all principals and mention it during the next principal meeting we have.
So just one clarification. Do we have, how many slots do we have that we can?
Up to 5.
And what's our selection process if you have more than 5?
There's, the process is outlined in this right here. We have to come up with the plan, we have to have an application, and then it's up to us to determine selection criteria, if we'll do interviews or not, notification of awards, and at the very end we have to provide information to the state utilizing this program.
Good deal. Hopefully we'll have at least 5 that would like to take advantage of an opportunity, so that would be good. Any other questions? Here none. Next, North Carolina Early Childhood Sustainability Grant. Lenore? welcome.
Hey, we are requesting permission to offer health insurance to our after-school employees through VIP. We received the grant in October. The first grant payment that we got came in November. And they want us to spend this money quarterly, and they've given us a nice amount for each after-school school site that we have, the 5 that we have in Macon County. And one of the items that they would like the grant money used for is to offer health insurance, paid holidays, sick leave, just, benefits in general. So that's what we were requesting approval for, is to offer that to our employees. The grant runs through September of 2023. And at that point, they're hoping that they would continue the health part coverage of the grant would continue on. They're, each quarter, the funding is going to go down, but they're going to keep that amount for the health insurance coverage and continue.
Good deal. I read where this is one of the things that it's intended for. So, any questions?
That's wonderful.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion that we approve the request to, as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Next, our 2022-23 Macon Early College calendar. Tim.
We have the Macon Early College calendar. They have to align their school calendar with Southwestern Community College, and this is the calendar they came up with for their approval.
This is an idle comment. I keep praying that the state will come to the realization and allow us to start aligning our calendar with this. It would enough said.
It's a lot of work.
And to that point, Mr. Chairman, we have a number of students that will not be able to enroll at SEC on time because they don't graduate until after SEC's actually their semester's already begun. So it really hinders our students.
Yeah. It's sad. Sad.
Move to accept as presented.
Have a motion the calendars be approved as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Buildings and grounds, facilities update. Mr. Gibbs.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We have a number of different projects going on in various stages. Start off with East Franklin Elementary School classroom addition. The RFQ process is complete with hopefully you guys recommendation from the committee that reviewed the RFQs. I think you guys had that, don't they? LS3P was the committee's recommendation.
It wasn't on there, and I haven't seen it, but that's fine. So what was LS3P?
Yep.
Yes.
Did we? We'd have to make them up. We'd have to approve that.
And because of the nature of this project and the funding source, you're the total owner of this one. Unlike most of them, we have their
with the county, right?
Shared with the county. So you really are the ones that are selecting your architects.
Right.
And I've always spoken highly to you all and all my clients about LS3P among lots of other firms. They're excellent to work with. So no problem at all with that recommendation.
You're killing to it, so.
Well, Todd, if you'll bear with us, let's just go ahead and address that now, board members. So the committee recommended LS3P. Do I hear a motion to that effect, that we accept them as our architect for our project? We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Very good. All right, Todd, if you don't, go ahead. Sorry.
That's fine. I'm sure Mr. Henning and I will be, Dr. Henning and I will be working closely to make up a contract for them for design services. Macon Middle School renovation is in its last phase. They're on the west wing. No, that's not the White House, but the west wing of Macon Middle School. They're in the middle of demolition in that part, and it should go fairly quickly because this is their third time around for that. So this phase should go fairly quickly. There is a light at the end of the tunnel for Macon Middle School renovation. The board approved new pumps for the irrigation system for the athletic fields at Macon Middle School. I got a notification today from Mr. Bob Shin with Pro Pumps and Controls that those are scheduled for delivery on June 8th. Supply chain issues. He said he'll do everything he can to get it here earlier, but it's not much under our control.
And we ordered those pumps December?
Yeah, at least.
It was warm, it seems like, when I ordered them, so I would say.
Yeah, I think it's even prior to that, to be honest with you.
I'll go back and look.
And Todd, before we leave the Macon Middle School project, could you give the board an update on the flooring?
Yes, sir. As you remember, one of the alternates for Macon Middle School flooring was for a product called solid vinyl tile, which is different than VCT, which is a vinyl composite tile, I think is what it's called. This SVT is supposed to be a less labor-intensive floor, which after we've had part of the project SVT installed in it, we have found that this floor does not perform to the standards without us putting wax on it, which is just like VCT.
And basically, low maintenance, it was sold to us as a product that required no waxing.
Scrubbing only, and it would shine like VCT, which it has not, it will not. So we've had to drop back and punt. We have put wax on the SVT that has been installed. We're a little worried about its performance, putting wax on a no-wax floor. We've had the wax down on the floors for about a month now, and it's performed very well. We're also worried a little bit about when we strip that wax off that no-wax floor, how that old wax is going to release. And so far, so good.
And how the tile will react to the stripper.
Right.
Now, the county did receive damages from the installer or from the manufacturer?
Flexco, the manufacturer.
I think that was it $200,000? $200,000. Now,
that was minus. They were minus. I think $20,000 because they had to come back and redo some flooring, if I remember correctly, Dr. Baldwin. So basically 180.
So while the county did receive damages due to the product being less than it was presented to us when it was sold to us, and that's all well and good, but the issue for us is that we went with the SVT due to the fact that it was supposed to be a no wax, low maintenance, or basically no maintenance floor in terms of what our custodians are accustomed to in the summer, with stripping floors, re-waxing those floors, buffing those floors, and throughout the entire school year. So we removed carpeting in classrooms that the custodians were just simply running a vacuum cleaner across. And now those floors will have to have all the furniture removed. The wax will need to be stripped from those floors, and then a new coat of wax will need to be put down. Then the furniture will be moved back in the classroom. So we went from a lower no maintenance to a much more maintenance, especially during the summer. School summers. Now, that's one of the reasons, that is the reason, that we've asked the county in our budget, or that we will be asking the county in our budget for allowing us to add a custodian at Macon Middle School, or look at an alternative, which would be to provide the mowing at Macon Middle School rather than a custodian. If we could have the county or some entity pick up the mowing at Macon Middle School, that would free up the custodians that normally do the mowing to put the maintenance down on that no maintenance floor.
And of course, the amount we got was in no shape, fashion, or form enough to replace that, correct?
No, we didn't receive it.
Yeah, the county received it. My memory was, what was the cost of the floor?
Well, it was an alternate, which was the most expensive flooring that you could actually put down, and I think it was like $400,000 more, wasn't it, Todd, than the VCT?
I think the total bill on the SVT was $354, and VCT was, I don't think it was that much, Doctor. I think $170,000 200,000.
Yeah, maybe it was nearly 200,000 what I was thinking.
Without looking at my numbers,
The total cost was close to 4 and the difference was close to 2. That's probably more like it.
and also guesstimate is that we went from 60% tile in the building before renovation to about 90% tile.
So 30% more stripping and waxing during the summer.
And that's a guesstimate. On 107,000 or 8,000 square feet.
There's been a lot of conversation out in the community about that flooring. We were not pleased at all with the appearance of the floor. Mr. Shields, you can certainly speak to that. It does look much better with the wax, but it will require much more maintenance.
In your budget, have you addressed the, I call them stick chairs versus the skid chairs? Did y'all, sled chairs or something?
We didn't directly address that. Each school in our budget receives a furniture allowance, which, if fully funded, they can purchase those chairs out of that allotment.
Because the skid chairs were making havoc on the floor.
Yeah.
So like we go to a stick chair, it's got 4 legs, but you don't have so much. It's better.
Yeah, even with a wax floor, and that goes back to the conversation that we had about the amount of carpeting we had in the building before. You need those chairs with the runners to slide over the carpet, but then when you put those chairs on a tiled floor, it can wreak havoc on that finish, and even on a waxed floor. But with this solid vinyl tile, which seems to be a softer composition, Todd, those chairs were just absolutely eating that floor up. It looked horrible, and there was a lot of conversation out in the community amongst the staff and students. So we feel like that the appearance will be much better by waxing the SVT. We're holding our breath that the stripper won't decompose that tile, and that the wax will hold up.
So far, the sled chairs, the wax has been holding up pretty well to the sled chairs.
There are some little tabs that you can put on the bottom of those runners, but it will still, that will show wear.
They pop off real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Any other facilities updates?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes, sir, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Nanahail School wastewater treatment plant, our local engineer is waiting on a topographical survey from a local surveyor. I think we're waiting in line to have that done to be able to continue on with the Nanahail wastewater treatment plant.
Jack is helping us
Yes,
with that.
sir.
Jack Morgan is helping with both the surveyor and the engineer. So if there's any way possible to move this project more quickly, we're working on that. We do have some hope that we can install the new system in parallel to the old system, which would allow us to do it during school operation. Do you have an update on that, Todd?
From what I got from McGill & Associates and from Harper Construction is that constructing it in parallel is a good idea, because as you bring it online, if there are adjustments that need to be made, you can flop over to the old system temporarily to make adjustments on the new system until you get it right, and then you can totally disband the old system.
And so the engineer seems to feel that we're able to put it in the fair you have, and the state will approve it. Am I understanding right?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
So the engineer is saying that we have the room, or is that still something to be able to put a system side by side, or we're still waiting to hear from the state concerning that?
No, the room is there. I don't think that's an issue.
Okay, good.
From the engineers I've heard from.
Good deal.
Lackey and McGill.
He has to have a topographic survey before he can sign off on the...
Sign off on it, but at least we got the room to do it. That's good. And we're not delayed.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, yeah, I'm
Idaho
just,
Valley Geothermal Repair. Dr. Henning and I are working out a contract with MSS Solutions that will be agreeable to them and us for replacement of controls and within the building, geothermal piping, pipe welding repairs. So we're working on that. We're in contact with MSS, making sure that we're trying to stay as best on schedule as we can, again, considering supply chain issues that seem to be prevalent just about everywhere.
does that include the vault? Todd, you were talking about it?
Nope, that's totally separate.
And do we have an update concerning that? Anything, any progress made?
I do not have one at this time.
Okay.
We are in the process of repairing that vault so that we can isolate the cells of that well field that might be leaking. We know there's at least one leak. We have to fix the vault before we can determine which cell's actually leaking.
So I guess have we started fixing the vault? We have the parts and we're able to get started on it?
We have ordered those parts, is that correct?
Has he done purchase order?
The two projects combined were $46,000.
Okay, we got this, okay. Lovely, yeah. Anything else, Mr. Gibbs?
Yes, sir, that'll be it.
One update would be that should we find a leak in that well field and determine that it's going to be too expensive to repair the well field, we do have the possibility of an option of building another cooling tower boiler facility, and we do have an estimate of about $400,000 to do that.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So if we do need to go that route, at least that's something that, it's not $2 million to repair that well field, which is one of the estimates that we've received to this point.
Yeah, $400,000, that's actually below what we had expected, or no?
Much below what I had thought.
Right. Good. Maybe we'll get something go our way once. Be nice. Anything else, Mr. Gibbs?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Now, but you're still on deck, you and Angie, Athletic Facilities Grant.
Yes, sir, I'll let Angie start with this one and I'll add to it.
We have received a K-12 athletic facilities grant. The amount is $109,936. It is for the repair and renovation of K-12 athletic facilities. We have until June 30th of 2024 to spend it. However, we do have to send in a scope of work by April the 8th. So
This April the 8th.
yes.
And Mr. Gibbs, are you going to give us an update in terms of what we're proposing to use that, or when our scope of work we'll send in would be in connection with what?
Yes, sir. Our main conversation about using money on track, I don't even want to say refurbishing at Macon Middle School, because it'll have to be taken, just like the high school, the asphalt base would have to be taken down to the gravel, and then you'd have to put the asphalt back and then cover it with the latex to make it a regulation track.
That cost estimate was $550,000. If you'll recall, we had some discussions about the Macon Middle School renovation using the contingencies on that project to cover the track. Now, I think that the change orders, the number of change orders that we've had to Macon Middle School project have depleted that contingency, but we could apply this $100,000 grant towards that resurfacing. We did also look at the capital outlay requests for the entire county, and most of the athletic facilities in the capital outlay requests were associated with Franklin High School, which we know that there's ongoing discussion about a renovation of that whole campus over there, particularly the football field and track. So we didn't want to include Franklin High School in directly in this grant due to the ongoing discussions of the renovations. Nantahala had a scores table, which I think that we can cover out of the capital outlay request for next year. I think Highlands athletic facility requests were the refinishing of the old gym floor. So, and both of those things I think we can take care out of the capital outlay request, especially if we've got this grant money that we can apply towards the track at
If you get the middle school track fixed, is that something that the high school athletics can use it for
In the interim, yes.
as well?
That's something
Until
that
they get something
especially can
better.
be used while the tracks and stadiums are under construction if the commissioners decide to move forward with that project.
And we're not locked, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Brown, we're not locked into that. If we get into it and it doesn't appear that the county would like to proceed and with additional funding, we could actually modify that
That is
to
our
address other
understanding, and
needs.
Angie can certainly speak to this, but this grant sort of came to us, as most things do from Raleigh, as a surprise. We're still trying to determine exactly what the parameters are around the grant. It does appear as if it can be amended. I believe we have till 2024 to spend this funding, so I assume it's associated with ARP funding. But it can be amended. We'll also try to write the scope of work broadly enough so that if any amendments, if we can avoid making an amendment and still cover the project, we'll write it so that we can. I don't know how much leeway we'll have in that, though.
Well, and Dr. Baldwin, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this, like you said, it's caught everybody by surprise because they made a few specific grants for $1 million here for a turf replacement, $2 million here to fix a stadium in a specific county, but then there was this leftover amount that just sort of got divvied out to every county. You've got some amount that nobody really saw coming, and it's just been kind of out of the blue. And I don't think there's much in the budget that says, I mean, it's about athletics.
As long as it's about athletics.
I don't think it says much more than that.
We've only known about it for about 6 weeks now. We were waiting until we heard more from the state about how it was to be implemented before we brought it to the board. We ran out of time before we received any additional information.
I guess the point I wanted to make, I think that we can approve it what the recommendation is, but I think we will have the flexibility to choose not to put the additional monies, and we can use it for over there at Macon Middle School, I think needs for.
And I have had a conversation with County Manager Rowland, Mr. Shute.
I haven't talked with you, so our other athletic middle building, is there an update on that? I should be asking him, but has he talked to you about that other building?
Not since we last met. The liaisons met to have that discussion.
I need to get back up with that, because it seemed like we're in the process of having some type of meeting about that building there.
The only thing that I can share with you is that the last time we discussed it, there was some discussion about shifting the building over, I think it was to the west, so that we could avoid additional excavation. One of the issues that that brought up was the possibility of needing to move a water line. Tracy met with Jack the other day and asked him what he needed to do about that water line, and Jack put him on hold. So I don't know. Probably a good idea to follow up.
But in the meantime, the recommendation is that we slot this money, subject to that, for repairing the track and then revise otherwise. So, any other questions? I would entertain a motion. Have a motion that we accept the recommendation to use the athletic facilities grant for improvements to the Macon Middle School track. Do I hear a second? Any other discussion? All in favor, someone saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Highlands Country Club bus usage. Mr. Gibbs.
Yes, sir. This is a contract that has been around that Highlands has used for as long as I've been at the central office. Never had any problems. It seems like a great program. Summer program for the kids in Highlands.
And then the Learning Center, we're just going to cover both of these in one motion.
And same thing with that one, Chairman. It's we've had has used our bus for the last 3 years, activity bus
at least,
in their summer program, and we just asked them to put some diesel fuel in it. And they've taken care of it and they've returned it, and
our kids benefit from that.
And the kids benefit from both of those. That's the whole point about it. Questions? I entertain a motion concerning the two requests for our bus usage. Do I have a motion that we approve the bus usage request as presented? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Very good. Now the fun stuff, right, Angie? Yeah. Our 2022-23 draft budget. Do you want to give us any highlights?
Well, you should have a copy of it in your folder, and you can ask any questions as we go through this if you'd like, but the significant differences are the 2.5 salary increase that will begin in July, and in addition to that, there's a $15 per hour minimum wage. So those had to be reflected in this budget, and an increase also in the retirement and the hospitalization. The three items that you all approved at the budget work session, Dr. Baldwin just spoke about the custodian at Macon Middle School is reflected in this budget. A small portion of increase in funds to maintenance for a team leader, and then the difference for a guidance counselor, one retiring that we've actually been paying on contract, and we would have to hire that replacement, so the difference for that salary is also in this budget. And if you will look at the very last page, you will see that we had to appropriate to balance this budget. It's just under $354,000 if the county funding remains the same as it has the past 3 years at $8.2 million. I'm happy to answer any questions about any specific category.
So really the only changes are due to pretty much just a few positions talked about, and then the mandated increases by the state.
Yes.
This is something we need to approve. This is just our draft, so we'll be all right if we get a chance to look over some of the questions and approve at the next meeting, Angie?
Well, this is the draft, and I think the county commissioners require it to be turned into them by mid-April, so I'm not sure we would have another meeting by the time.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, while this does indicate that we would need to appropriate $350,000 from our fund balance, that does not mean that the county would need to increase our allocation by that amount. We had a budget surplus last year. We should be able to cover this increase in that county, in that budget surplus. I think the important thing to recognize is that each year there are a number of costs associated with the changing economy that are outside the control of the school system. As we're seeing here, the majority of these increases are due to those state-imposed wages, salary increases, as well as benefit increases. And those things happen every year, and those do directly impact our budget.
Questions?
And I'll also remind the board that if we can work out some sort of an agreement with the county so that the mowing is taken care of at Macon Middle School, we could reduce the increase in the budget by the cost of that custodian.
No, that's something we have under discussion. So. Have a motion that we accept and approve the budget as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, guys. Any other questions, comments? I think it's pretty straightforward. Hearing none, all in favor of approving the budget as presented, the draft, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you for your work on that, Angie. I'm sure it's something you just look forward to every year, isn't it? District News, Dr. Baldwin.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as we mentioned earlier today with the face covering discussion, we are seeing many improvements with regard to the pandemic. Certainly excited about what our students are accomplishing in the classroom and in competition. For example, I'd like to recognize Highlands athletic teams up here for their stellar seasons, particularly the girls basketball team. The Highlanders, the Lady Highlanders, won the regular season championship, the conference tournament, and then were able to make it to the third round of the North Carolina High School Athletic Association playoffs. So we're really excited about what was accomplished up here and excited about the spring.
I think across the board our winter sports were outstanding successes both here
and I don't know
all throughout the system. So.
How many of you were able to actually attend the Unify March Madness event at Franklin High School, or were able to see it on the Franklin Panther Sports Network? But that was a tremendous community event. It showcased what our community is all about, and it's about students.
Is this the third? How many years they've been doing it? And it seems like it gets better. Is this maybe the third year?
I think we had one before the pandemic, so it's maybe the fourth.
Fourth, okay. All those people that helped organize that are to be commended. So it's a special night.
It really is.
Any other continuation of the district news, Dr. Baldwin?
No, sir.
All right. Superintendent information, coming events. Board members, I think everyone had it in your packet. A listing of the coming events. Anything you want to highlight, Dr. Baldwin? Or?
Yes, sir. Monday, April 11th is the first day of spring break for Franklin, Nantahala, and Highlands. Wednesday, April the 13th is a work day for Macon Early College. Thursday, April the 14th is an annual leave day for staff at Macon Early College. Students won't be present. Friday, April the 15th is Good Friday holiday. Obviously, Sunday, April the 17th is Easter holiday. Thursday, April the 21st is the Franklin High School Grad Walk, which is another great community event. And then Monday, April the 25th is the April board meeting at the central office at 6 p.m.
Good. Everybody, please mark down. I'll have Renee, when she sends out a reminder about prior to that, the event at Union Academy.
Started at 4?
Starts at 4. So if we could, I'd love for us to maybe meet together, go out together, let those students show what they did, and then we can get back for the meeting. So I think it'll be time well spent.
And one final item is Duke and Carolina play in the Final Four on Saturday night. I don't know if anyone's marked that on the calendar.
I think we have it marked on the calendar, but we're not going to get into any more discussion about that, shall we say?
5:49, I think, is the tip.
Closed session. Mr. Henning.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the reason for the closed session is one given in 143-13.11A1 to prevent disclosure of privilege for confidential personal information pursuant to GS 115C-319-15.1 and student matters pursuant to GS 115C-402 and 22 USC 1233 as well as 143-13.3 to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body.
We heard the reasons, so I'll entertain a motion that we move to closed session.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor, someone saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. And I think this will end our streaming. We may already have done that. If not, if not, anyone's watching, thanks for stopping in. I would ask everyone here if you would please excuse us. Board members, you want to take a break?